More concerns are being raised. Does the Clarity Act have enough time to make it on the schedule for a full Senate vote? The date from the White House was July 4th, but we're hearing from Senator Lummis that the bill probably won't even go up for a vote until the middle of July.
So what is still holding the bill back? What still needs to be addressed? What is the realistic timeline on the calendar? These are all things we're going to go over right now. We hear from Senator Tim Scott. We hear multiple times from Senator Lummis. We actually take a look at the Senate calendar, and we also hear from the opposition, the other side who is trying to stop the Clarity Act.
I thought it was valuable to bring all of this together into one update for you guys. I know a lot of you are following this closely and eagerly at home, so let's get into it.
The future of finance in so many ways. Listen, the American people want to have access to what the rest of the world has access to. The only way to do that is to have rules of the road. So getting this legislation done is historic. It puts America back in the driving seat for the foreseeable future. Having Cynthia Lummis and Mark Warner work together on anything is a blessing. It's like Peter walking on the water. It's something you don't see every day. And so, this is good news. But more importantly, having Senator Gallego, Senator Scott, come along with every single Republican on the committee to do what's in America's best long-term interest. Now let's explain something. There's a section, a big argument and debate around what they call Section 104(b)(2, that determines the network and the tokens and whether or not they're under coordination. It felt like that was sort of at the heart of the fight here. Well, there are 4 or 5 major pieces of the puzzle that were at the heart of the fight, from my perspective. One was on rewards. Banks and crypto were diametrically opposed, and we were able to thread the needle on that really important section. Number 2, issues of ethics. Ethics is something that's really outside of banking jurisdiction, but it's still a really important issue. Number 3, quorum. Making sure that both the CFTC and SEC, the alphabet soup for those Americans paying attention, all that means is the regulatory framework needs to have people actually serving on those committees. Now really quickly, remember there was an amendment filed by Senator Elizabeth Warren to get rid of the grandfather clause. If you're not familiar with the grandfather clause, that meant that if any cryptocurrency had an ETP filed by June 1, 2026 that was trading on the stock market, that cryptocurrency would be grandfathered in as a digital commodity. They wouldn't have to go through the mature blockchain test, some of the stuff talked about there in Section 104. This would have been a huge boost for XRP holders. Senator Elizabeth Warren tried to kill that part of the bill, and I think she's still going to try to make sure that it doesn't make it into the final version, the part where Ripple and XRP would obviously be grandfathered into digital commodity status. So there's still a lot of things that could change here, a lot of things that can be removed, a lot of things that can still be added. Just understand that we are in kind of like quicksand right now where it's hard to know exactly where this is going. Number 4, DeFi. Making sure that as we eliminate the intermediary, we do not increase challenges for everyday consumers. And the 5th section has to do with AML, or anti-money laundering. Those are the 5 major pieces of the puzzle that caused a lot of consternation along the way. If you had to explain to just the average American how this benefits them, what would you tell them? Well, the simplest answer is, democratization means lower prices, faster transactions, and the good news is, you, the person who has the resources, you make your own decisions. You don't have to wait on someone to give you permission. Now you're working in a permissionless environment because of blockchain and the ability to verify transactions in real time. And then we have this piece here from Senator Lummis. Senator Cynthia Lummis's Digital Asset Market Clarity Act has passed out of committee with bipartisan support and is now headed for a full vote on the Senate floor. She joins us now to tell us more. Wyoming Senator Cynthia Lummis. First of all, before we even start the conversation, the audience needs to know you have been at this for a long time. You have always found a way to have bipartisan support with this. 2022 with Senator Gillibrand and the Responsible Financial Innovation Act again in 2023 and again in 2025. You pulled it over the finish line. What's next? Well, next we're going to take the bill that we passed in the Senate Banking Committee last week. We're going to combine it with a bill that's already passed the Agriculture Committee in the Senate, which deals with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission part of this subject. Then we're going to wrap in some language about ethics as well as make some technical changes to the Genius Act. So then we're going to put it all together and present it on the Senate floor hopefully sometime this summer. Alright, hopefully sometime this summer. And then I wanted to play this next clip because it does speak directly to the calendar of when this should get done. Remember, we heard from the White House that they would like to get the president to sign this bill into law by July 4th, which is America's 250th birthday, and it doesn't look like from this clip that that's going to happen. Listen closely. Here's a quick update on what's happening with the Clarity Act. It came out of the Banking Committee last week, so now we'll spend the next roughly 3 weeks combining the components of the Clarity Act that were already passed by the Agriculture Committee. Those are the parts on the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. The ethics part will have to be reviewed by the committee that deals with ethics, and that would be the Homeland Security Committee, and of course the Banking Committee work as well. Then if there are any technical changes which we expect there to be to the Genius Act, we will probably add those. So it's going to take us 3 weeks to pull it all together, and then after that we'll begin to make sure that we've got the votes to get cloture before we go to the Majority Leader John Thune and ask him for time on the agenda, because time on the agenda is getting more and more precious every day, and we don't want to waste his time with something that we can't get past. So we might be looking closer to July just based on the legislative schedule. That sounds reasonable. July is, I think, the more likely of the 2 months, between June and July. Okay, so July is the more likely month. But remember, because there were so many changes made to the Clarity Act, so many things that the senators changed over the last 10 months from the original House version, it actually has to go back to the House for them to look at the bill and essentially say, hey, you basically rewrote our bill. You added 33,000 words of text. It's completely different now. You've got to get a revote in the House. And if that doesn't pass, obviously there are still a lot of challenges in the days ahead. And I also wanted to show you what the actual calendar looks like here, because even in June you have portions that are blocked off. Senators leave, they have vacations and recesses. So all of this in the bracketed sections is when they're on vacation or when the Senate isn't even in session. The 19th, 20th, and 21st, they're not there. The 29th and 30th, they're not there either. So in June, they would really only have that last week, and it doesn't sound like anything is going to get done by then. So we're talking about sometime in July, maybe even signed into law in August. Now here is the chief legal officer from Coinbase, and then we're going to check in with what the opposition is saying and why they're trying to kill the Clarity Act. We do still need to get to 60 votes to overcome the potential of a filibuster, and to do that, we do need first to reconcile the language that was marked up with the markup that came out of the Senate Agriculture Committee. And then of course there's the floor vote. And at each step of that process you can expect lots of intense debate, not only on the issues that remain outstanding, particularly around protecting developers and ethics, but also on issues that we believe have already been settled. Our adversaries are not going to give up. They're going to keep at this until the very last moment. So I think it's important that the industry as a whole, and even our critics, I want to give them some credit too, continue to stay engaged, work to find common ground on the issues that remain outstanding, and not let the pressure up, because we have to get this legislation passed in the next few weeks. This is our moment. It's time that we seize it, and the time for that I think is long overdue. And it really kind of might be slipping away from us. Okay, so here is the opposition starting to come out of the woodworks to talk poorly about the Clarity Act and the crypto industry. And of course they're going to attack the Trump family for what they've been doing in crypto. I wanted you to hear what the opposition is putting out to the public right now, because public support on this bill matters, and you want to know what is coming up against it. There's a bad crypto bill, yes, another one, that's working its way through Congress right now. It's called the Clarity Act, and the crypto lobby doesn't want you to know about it. Here's the gist. The Clarity Act would make it much easier for criminals and terrorists to use crypto to launder money, and there is currently no language in the bill stopping President Trump and his family from continuing to make billions of dollars off his crypto dealings. To give you a sense of how much we're talking about, one estimate from NPR concludes Trump and his family have made over $2 billion from crypto alone. The Clarity Act would also largely deregulate the crypto industry, stripping away rules that apply to every other type of investment and making it far more difficult for any regulator to crack down on even the most egregious fraud and scams. And it gets worse. It would allow too big to fail banks to start investing your deposits, which are insured by the government, into a whole new host of risky crypto investments. So when the next crypto crash happens, taxpayers are on the hook for the bailout. So how is the crypto lobby getting so far on Capitol Hill? Bluntly, they're dumping a huge amount of money into politics. In 2024, the crypto lobby and individuals associated with it gave over $240 million to candidates and their campaigns. What are they getting for their money? Well, right now the Clarity Act is being pushed on the Hill by Senator Ruben Gallego of Arizona. Senator Gallego's campaign received over $10 million in 2024 from a crypto super PAC called Protect Progress. He's joined by Republicans like Senator Cynthia Lummis, who's known as the Crypto Queen of Congress, who has personally owned hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of Bitcoin since 2013. But I'm sure these senators' support of crypto is due to their deep understanding of blockchain technology and not their cozy ties to major donors. Probably just a coincidence. Watch how your senator votes and see who they're actually in office to protect. I feel like Elizabeth Warren maybe spent some time with the person who made that ad, right? I mean, this is straight from the Bankers Association's talking points, but this is what they're putting out there, and they're trying to rally support against this. And obviously, a lot of the things said in that clip about the bill are completely inaccurate. Crypto legislation is supposed to help the industry and help protect consumers against fraud and bad actors. There are just so many pieces of that where, you're listening, and it's just very cringeworthy. But that is the fight that we are up against, and that is what they are going to use to try to prevent this from getting done. I want to know my enemy. I want to know what I'm up against. And I think this really speaks volumes about what the challenges ahead are going to look like and what they're going to use to try to stop the Clarity Act. And so Senator Lummis says, the window to lead on digital assets won't stay open forever. Europe isn't waiting, and neither is China. I spent years building the Clarity Act so America doesn't have to play catch-up. We must act now. And for years, fintech has been shut out, while legacy institutions enjoyed privileged access. The Trump administration is ensuring a level playing field, competition, and lower payment costs for consumers through the latest executive order. And so Trump did put out this executive order. This executive order puts the Federal Reserve on notice that it must follow the law and provide equal access to the payment system for all eligible fintech companies. For years, fintech has been shut out while legacy institutions enjoyed privileged access, and the Trump administration is ensuring a level playing field of competition. Now it's funny that in this executive order they're talking about a level playing field. Brad Garlinghouse has really been in these people's ears, right? Level playing field, and then everybody starts using it. Senator Lummis has used it. I've heard other senators use it, and now you have the Trump administration using it. But I do want to say here, it is a little strange because we just heard that the Federal Reserve is slowing down the application process for Ripple's OCC bank charter, pushing it into December, which doesn't feel like we're getting a fair deal here at all. The crypto industry is being shut out from being connected to the Fed payment systems, which I think is a joke, because you have the banks on Capitol Hill saying that they need help from third-party providers like Ripple to build out their blockchain infrastructure because they cannot build it themselves in time. Some banks already have it pre-planned and set up, but the majority have no clue what they are doing. And you need to work with companies like blockchain infrastructure companies, the Coinbases of the world, the Upholds of the world, the Ripples of the world, the Fireblocks of the world, the Anchorage Digitals of the world, because they have the infrastructure that all of these financial institutions are going to have to use. So I just think some of this is a big game, and we're kind of just pawns in it, really. With this bill, law enforcement will have unprecedented powers to go after the bad actors who happen to use crypto, while protecting victims and protecting good actors in this space. You're going to see much clearer rules defining what investors are entitled to understand about their crypto investments before they purchase them, rather than having to learn after the fact about circumstances they didn't fully appreciate. You're also going to see rules in place for stablecoins, a particular type of crypto or digital asset, that define much more restrictively and explicitly who can provide rewards or yields on those assets, while protecting the right of ordinary Americans to enjoy the economic benefits of these assets that are available to them. And so while there are certainly no shortage of complaints, not just from the industry but from those opposed to the industry, I think on balance this bill is in the American people's interest. And that's why our representatives were by and large persuaded that the right thing to do is to move this bill forward and get it to the Senate for a full vote as quickly as possible. All right, you tell me what you think is going to happen. Do you think this gets done in July? Is this an August situation? Or are we in trouble before we even get started? I'd love to better understand where you guys think this is headed, and I will continue to bring you updates as we have enough information to do so on the Clarity Act. Thank you so much for your support. Like, share, and comment below. I'll see you next time.